It was brought to memory that yesterday, December 8th, was the 21st anniversary of the shooting of Dimebag Darrell. Sometimes it's cool to reminisce on anniversary dates of stuff, even if it's for something that was kind of tragic. So I wanted to retell my story of that day. It was in Billings, Montana, and at the Shrine Auditorium was Slayer, Mastodon, Killswitch Engage, and Hemlock. This was the first time I got to meet Hemlock. Some people would know about 6 years after that I ended up joining Hemlock for a minute. But anyway, get all the way through the show, and Slayer is playing. I think it's the third or fourth time I've seen Slayer at this point. But what would seem to be about kind of the halfway point of their set, they just stopped and left the stage. And there's, the house lights don't come on. Usually you know things like when the show's over. And Slayer also notoriously does an encore, and they weren't coming back for a minute. So I decided to go see about using the bathroom real quick, since and everybody's just wandering around. This whole place is fucking full of people. So, and I go down out in the lobby towards the downstairs, which would take you to the bathroom. And I see Chad from Hemlock. He's on the phone, and he's crying, but like kind of speaking aloud, telling the story. Somebody had gotten a hold of him, and at that point the story was still kind of coming together, and there was still information coming out. But what he was told at the time, which we all found out wasn't 100% accurate but still tragic, what he was told was Dime and Vinny got shot. And everybody's like going, what? Are you fucking serious? Like everybody's really confused, And at the time, that's like pretty random, so it seemed. It's like, we're gonna have to wait to hear more on this, because who the fuck would shoot Dime and Vinny, at that point? So go back in the auditorium, and eventually Slayer comes back out, and they play 2 songs, but you could tell the mood was different. Normally there's like an energy with Slayer, and you could tell, and they weren't saying anything yet. So, but at the end of the set, Kerry King leaves a shot of Jaeger on the stage, and kind of know who that was for at that point. So it was just afterwards, everybody out in the lobby and outside just like trying to figure out, what the fuck is going on. There's something crazy. And the next day we start hearing all the information, that Dimebag got shot, and more details unfolding and what forth. What kind of caps off my memory for this, which kind of drove me nuts at the time, but there was kind of a weird thing between me and my parents, because I've been playing music for 30 years now, and at that point, I'd only been playing for about 11 years, but they kind of had this whole idea like I wanted to be a rock star, which was just not realistic and never has been. So they would kind of throw little jabs here and there, and it would, this might sound ridiculous, like, why the fuck are you telling me this? But it drove me nuts, because I got back home and I had said something to my dad about like, did you see that? And he said some shit about like, that's what happens when rock stars are hanging out with people doing drugs and shit. I was like, what? And I never really got to talk about that with him afterwards, because it was almost like as the news unfolded and everything. I mean, it made national news and everything. It's like it's had nothing to do with fucking drugs, but more so to do with mental health. So I don't know. I figured I'd share. So where were you when Dimebag got shot? 2004, December 8th.